According to the National Center for Education Statistics, more than 1.8 million people will graduate from college next year. I will be one of them. There's a lot of competition for jobs, and I need to start paying those student loans off. To be competitive in the job market, you need to set yourself apart. This means be prepared. And once you get hired, you need to be sure that you have the skills to keep your job. The text, Business and Administrative Communication, sets guidelines to follow so that you can succeed. The authors show you how to create a proper resume, interview like a professional, write acceptable papers, and adapt your message to fit your audience, and much, much more. They help create the foundation for the rest of your professional career. Business and Administrative Communication. A presentation by Justin Brown for Business 349, Professor Joe R. Putulowski, California Baptist University, June 27, 2014. This book is written by Kitty O. Locker and Donna S. Kinsler. Kitty O. Locker was an English professor at Ohio State University. She is the author of 3 widely used business communication textbooks, and she has served as the editor of the Journal of Business Communication. Donna S. Kinsler is a professor of English and the assistant director of the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching at Iowa State University. Business and Administrative Communication covers a wide range of topics. The authors tell you what you should be doing now to prepare for employment in the future. Today we will cover the topics that I find most important: resume, interview, planning, composing, revising, and adapting your message. It would be impossible to cover all topics in the book, so we will focus on these 4 points. Congratulations, you graduated college. So did 1.8 million other people. How will you stand out in the crowd? You need to start with a strong resume. Employers use a resume to determine who to interview. It will be scanned by a computer or skimmed for 20 to 30 seconds by a manager. Employers assume that this is your best work, so make sure you're sending the message you want. Your resume needs to break through the first line of defense. Although you want your resume to stand out, you do want to follow basic guidelines. A resume should be 1 to 2 pages long. Now only use a second page if you have enough relevant information to fill up 10 to 12 lines. Your resume should convey the fact that you are the best you that you've ever been. What have you done that is relevant in this position? Why are you a better candidate than those other 1.8 million people? And keep it recent. Only include information from 3 to 5 years ago. A manager at Adidas doesn't care that I worked for Arby's at 14 years ago when I was 16 years old. It goes back to relevance. Now you want to give details. Saying that you managed people and earned a good GPA, that's way too vague. Let the audience know that you are responsible for scheduling and supervising 2 teams of 3 to 5 people who were charged with designing advertising campaigns for a shoe company. If you earned a respectable GPA, state it explicitly. I earned a 3.75 GPA at California Baptist University. Now your resume isn't an essay. Sentence fragments are acceptable and in most cases preferred. This doesn't mean you can be sloppy. Keep everything tight. Check spelling and grammar. Avoid using the word I. It makes you seem arrogant. Instead, use me or my. With so many applications being scanned by computers, you want to make sure that yours gets selected. To accomplish this, use keywords. Find keywords by looking at job postings. Examples are degree types, software programs, job-specific skills, and personality traits. You only have a few seconds to grab an employer's attention. You need to do this in a professional way, so no flashy borders and fancy fonts. Make your resume easy to read and well organized. And remember, do not use resume templates. Believe it or not, this used to be my resume. The names and numbers have been changed to protect the guilty. I actually was hired using this. In my defense, my wife made it, so it's not my fault. Only after I sent this out to 30 employers did a friend of mine tell me that Comic Sans is the most hated font in the world. Who knew that a font could be hated? Besides the font, the design is flawed in other ways. The lines look tacky, and the information doesn't stand out and it's hard to read. There's also way too much information. But at least I didn't have my Arby's employment on there. Lastly, leave out references. If an employer requires references, they'll ask for them. This is my updated resume using a basic outline from the book. The look is much cleaner than the previous one. I use neutral theme and fonts. My headings are clear and easy to point out. There's actually a lot less info, but the info that is included is more important. Notice that I have used keywords like Excel and business administration. I've also customized my resume, in this case for a fictional job at Adidas. Your resume impressed, and now it's time for the interview. It can be a nerve-wracking experience, but the more you prepare, the more comfortable you'll be. Think of 2 to 3 things that set you apart from the others and facts that back up your claim. Listen for chances in the interview to bring up your strengths, but don't force it. Don't just say that you're a hard worker. Mention the time that you worked all weekend to finish a report when the deadline was moved up. Expect your weaknesses to be brought up. Be ready to explain them. If you have a gap in employment, you can explain that you were going to school and taking care of your child until they reach school age. Ask questions that you need to know. You will sound more engaged to the interviewer and get valuable information from them. Find out all the information you can about the company you're interviewing for. Some companies even offer interviewing tips online. Try and get a feel for the culture of the workplace. A friend of mine moved states and was looking for employment. He got an interview with the Fortune 500 company. He spent 2 days researching the company and his position. During his interview, he was able to cater his answers to fit what he knew about the company. Needless to say, he got the job and is now thriving there. Now you should prepare an elevator speech. This is a short but powerful statement as to why you are the ideal candidate for the job. When an interviewer says, "Tell me about yourself," you will have your elevator speech ready to blow them away. You should also bring extra copies of your resume and a pen. I had a manager tell me that if an interviewee doesn't have a pen, they'll throw their resume in the trash. My opinion is that you should always dress to impress in an interview. I've shown up for interviews for construction jobs wearing a tie twice and was hired on the spot both times. The general rule, though, is be conservative. A white shirt, tie, and a black jacket will work for most situations. Wear clothes that fit well and shoes that are comfortable. You may need to do like a facility tour, and you want to be sure that you're able to keep up with the interviewer. Be conservative with your appearance. Cover up tattoos and remove jewelry. Make sure your nails are clean and trim your ear and nose hair. Don't wear cologne. The last thing you want is for your scent to trigger a sneezing fit. First impressions are everything. We already addressed the attire, so your outfit is taken care of. Keep a genuine smile on your face. Be polite to receptionists, parking attendants, and doormen. Be punctual, but not more than 10 minutes early. Develop a good handshake. It might sound silly, but practice it with a friend. You don't want your handshake to be too soft. I'm a big, strong guy, so I often worry that my handshake is too strong. My current boss has hands the size of canned hams. When we met for the first time, he put a squeeze on my hand that made me adjust the strength of my handshake. I was careful not to turn it into a strength competition, but was sure to show that I had a nice, firm grip. You also need to be an active listener. Ask engaged questions. Be enthusiastic about the interview. You want the employer to believe that the enthusiasm will transfer to your work. And remember to always be yourself. You don't want to put on a show for the interviewer only to find out that you don't really fit the position. Most people cannot sit down, start writing, and come up with the perfect paper. It needs to be a process. I think of writing like a car trip. Before I leave, I plan my trip. I have a route picked out and a schedule I'd like to keep. Then I drive. Now my daughter needs me to stop so she can use the restroom. We get back on the road and notice that there is a road closure and we have to change routes. We just planned, wrote, revised, and edited our trip. When writing, you first need to know what you're going to write. Why you are writing. Brainstorm. Figure out all the things that you can write about. Get the information about the things that you came up with during brainstorming and figure out which ones are the most important. And then you can figure out the order and style you want to present your information. Start writing. This does not need to make perfect sense. Just start putting your ideas down. Once the ideas are written, read what you have written. Does it answer the questions you set out to answer? Get someone else to read it. We know what we're trying to say. Get a second set of eyes looking at your paper to make sure that your thoughts are clear, and then make the necessary changes. You need to know who you're talking to when you give a presentation. Not only their names and positions, but also their personalities and what kind of presentation will reach them best. And then you adapt your message to fit your audience. When presenting to your own company, you may be able to analyze individuals. Use what you know about the people to create a presentation they will enjoy. Some people respond better to an oral presentation, while others respond better to facts and figures. When presenting to groups, it is useful to find out what binds them together and focus your presentation in a way it will reach most of them. You can break them up using demographic or psychographic characteristics. Demographic characteristics are measurable features like age, sex, and race. Psychographic are qualities like beliefs, goals, and lifestyle. Everyone wants to feel like the presentation is speaking to them, so make sure that you are. Remember to focus on benefits to your audience. Let them know what's in it for them. Try to answer questions you anticipate them having. And remember, have fun. Now, there is no way to cover the entire text in a 7 to 12 minute presentation. I just touched on a few aspects that I feel are most important takeaways of the text. The thing that ties all the different aspects together is working hard. You must take time to create a good resume. You need to prepare for an interview, write and rewrite presentations. This reminds me of one of my favorite Bible verses, Proverbs 14:23. In all toil there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty.